Well, welcome everyone to this chat with Mary, and thank you so much for being a trooper at short notice when things changed.
It's a pleasure.
Especially 2 weeks after your wedding.
Yeah, it's just under 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then you pulled the collection together in a fortnight. Is that right? So
2 days after the wedding.
So tell me about the mood board for the collection and what we can expect to see tomorrow night.
Oh, I feel like if I tell you who the muse is, it'll give it away. But it's really sexy, spicy, still elegant, obviously, and with the structure, but very spicy. That's all I'm going to say.
Is there a name to the collection?
It's called Chroma.
Chroma. Is that sort of a play on light and? Oh no, chrome. Right. I see. So a bit of reflective surfaces.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, chromosphere.
Right. So you first showed at Australian Fashion Week back in 2015 as part of Next Gen, which is obviously...
Yeah, it was called New Gen back then.
New Gen, you're right. I forgot about that. Obviously, a very prestigious showcase, which has been the springboard for so many brands. And that was not long after you actually launched your brand, right?
Yes.
So how has the Mariam Seddiq brand evolved since that first show?
That first show was amazing because, they really kind of show you how everything is done. So then you can kind of go on to do your own solo show. It's kind of like the kindergarten of shows. And then from then, it's just been a really slow progression, which I like. I don't believe in the overnight success. Yeah.
But you celebrated a decade next year, right?
Next year.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Can't believe it.
But if you look at the first show that you did in 2015 compared to tomorrow, and obviously it's 10 years of experience, but in terms of production, obviously much bigger, and you've done many shows in between. But it's a long journey, isn't it?
It has been a long journey, but looking back, I've really remained consistent aesthetically, and it's always been more is more.
More is more.
More is more. That's thanks to my mum.
Right. So just going back to the beginning, what are some of your earliest memories of fashion growing up in Sydney?
Oh, definitely my mum. At the beginning, growing up, I was really kind of like embarrassed by it. It was so extravagant. Everyone else was by my mum's outfits.
Oh.
Her fashion. That's the fashion you see. You see your immediate family.
Our first windows into the world of fashion is usually our mothers, yeah.
And growing up, every week there was a function or an event or a party. So she would always get dressed up, and it was matching and dazzling, and the hair was to the roof. It still is. So that's what I saw, and I was like, she needs to calm down. But now I love it. Now when I look back at it, I'm like, she shaped me.
Right.
Yeah.
More is more.
That's right.
It's funny because I've just done an interview, our next cover star actually, for June, July, and a very well-known celebrity model, and she was saying how her first memories were her mother, who was very glamorous, and she turned up to pick her up at school in a leopard print skirt, and she was actually quite embarrassed. but she's very grateful for it, sort of looking back. So, having had that experience, what ignited the fashion bug for you? Do you remember?
I think it all started with art for me, and then somehow that art turned into wearable art, and now it's commercial wearable art. So, yeah, I wouldn't say it was a fashion bug. It was just like a nice transition.
So at what point did you kind of work out that you wanted to do?
I think I liked fixing anybody... friends from 16. I wasn't one of those, like when I was 3 I was making clothes, kind of fashion girly, but yeah, it started with art, and then I just loved dressing other people, styling them, everyone other than myself, because I was a little bit of a tomboy until 16.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you attended White House.
Yes.
And then went on to this amazing academy. Pardon me, I don't speak Italian, but Accademia Italiana Arte Moda Design in Florence, which is actually quite a few Australian alumni.
Yes.
You attended with Lena Tai from Song for the Mute, and
yes,
Camilla
we went together.
Also went there. That was obviously probably your first exposure to luxury, European luxury. How do you think
that was my first overseas trip.
Right.
Yes.
And how do you feel that experience shaped your career?
I feel like that experience just was the foundation for everything in life, in the business, just everything. I think, going abroad and actually, immersing yourself in the culture just opens up everything. And it still stays with you as well.
And then after that, is that when you worked in buying and
Yes, I came back
Yeah.
to Australia and it was the recession. So there wasn't many, design jobs. There was a lot of buying jobs. So I was in buying for about 3 years and it wasn't really challenging. So I started my business. I had a full-time job and I had a full-time business. So I did New Gen while I was still working 9 to 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I had to get like annual leave for it.
Yeah.
So
But that's sensible, having a day
yeah.
job. Yeah.
But the buying job was good because it gave me a background into admin and all that yucky stuff that you've got to do.
Yeah.
So
Which is obviously often a kind of a rude shock to designers when they
yes.
go out into the world.
So it wasn't like, doing all that stuff is not a problem for me.
And then you also worked for Bally for a period.
I did. That was fun. I had to wear a chocolate suit every day.
Oh, what a chocolate.
Chocolate suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that the uniform?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
fine. But I mean, that's great having experience with a European luxury brand, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to see, the product, even just the way they threw events, their networking, all of that. It was just good to observe.
So what was the light bulb moment? I mean, was there a particular light bulb moment that sort of made you think, now I'm ready to launch my own business?
It was more so, I noticed that there wasn't, anyone doing what I was doing, and everything was very, seasonal. A lot of that's changed now, but back then it was, I don't know, what was it, like 4 seasons, 2 seasons?
Yeah.
There wasn't anyone doing trans-seasonal. There wasn't anyone doing what they wanted to do. So I just did a collection, and the collection was a bit of everything. And I just started, and then I noticed, there was a good response to it. I just kept going.
And then the couture aspect, which is really interesting, and that accounts for, roughly half of your business, you mentioned?
Yes.
And you specialise in what's called prêt-à-couture. So that's ready-to-wear that has the option of a custom element. So at what point did you kind of decide that that was the right way to go?
Well, I made that up. It's
Right.
a combination noodle, but it gives you the best of both worlds because, a lot of people don't have that couture budget, but we give them that couture experience. So it's an amazing service that we provide. There's zero waste. They get something that fits them perfectly without having to fork out, couture prices. It's still quite a bit of money, but they get the service and they get that service with me.
So how does it work? Because you also you have a couple of stores in the Middle East, is that right?
Oh, no, I don't have stores. Gosh, I wish I did. No.
You what, sorry?
Stockers.
Stockers, no,
Yes.
but I mean, how does it work with the pure ready-to-wear stuff? That's just
Pure
ready-to-wear
ready-to-wear stuff is just our size chart,
Yeah.
which we have worked many years to get right. And they order sizes from that. And the Middle East stores are all small quantities. The word mass is not in our vocabulary.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Interesting. I mean, it's very interesting. So look, just there's quite a sort of burgeoning collective of Australian evening wear specialists. I mean,
Yeah.
it is quite interesting. I mean, there's a lot of them. You've got Paolo Sebastian, I mean, Alex Perry, and and they've had a lot of success. I mean, on the red carpet internationally, and you've had no shortage of celebrities wear your things as well. So some designers have, or couturiers, they actually are. Will take a showroom, for example, in Los Angeles, or they have a permanent showroom. How do you navigate that in terms of like stylist outreach? When you specialise in evening wear and you want to get the ideal is, the ideal is obviously to have a successful business, but I mean, you really want, that wow factor of the red carpet. How is that? How difficult is that to manage, and how do you go about it?
Thankfully, we don't manage that. We get the inquiries, which is really like
From
a
stylists.
blessing from stylists,
Yeah.
yes. But from the beginning, I have managed PR in-house myself. you know, I've had the relationships with the stylists. There's no middleman, and I think that has been the key to my growth as well. Just having that personal relationship, because I do believe the stylist is the middleman to the talent or the celebrity.
Of course, yeah.
So thankfully, we're no short of the inquiries. So when there is a carpet, we get the inquiries. So we don't actually, you know, go out and seek it. So it has been good for the business, for awareness and things like that.
Do you find that, I mean, there's a lot of follow through in terms of people ordering things when they see Rita Ora in your, it was a beautiful chartreuse dress, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think in mass, and you know, obviously if they don't tag, then there's no point to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really strong on that. But I don't think there's like a mass, like, selling out of the dress. But there is like a trust and awareness, and maybe they'll, buy something else that you post, or yeah. So it's definitely not a waste of time.
What have been your biggest red carpet moments to date?
Oh gosh.
Had Kylie Minogue in something? Is that right?
Yes, she wore a silver dazzly thing on stage. I think it was for like a Qantas event.
Mm-hmm.
Red
and Rita
carpet.
wore it for The Voice, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she's worn quite a few things. Oh, red carpet.
Been so many of them, you can't remember. It's hard to.
Yeah.
But I mean, and do you have any personal contact with the celebrities, or?
I do have yes. I think because I'm not a crazy fan, they do trust me with their numbers. But
Right.
I meet all of them. But no, I'm not like having a coffee with them.
Right. Not yet. So look, you're known for your dramatic silhouettes, more is more, as you say.
Always.
I'm interested in the more intricate, embellished, ambitious looks. How much work can go into, let's say, the most complicated of your couture looks?
I love attention to detail, and there's a lot of work that goes into even just like a really well cut blazer. So it's the same amount of time for all of it.
But like the most intricate, how much time? I mean, some of the dresses in Paris.
You want like a timeline?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hundreds of hours?
Gosh. I mean, it just depends on what it is. But yeah, it can be, we can do something in a week, or it can take us a year.
And
so.
I would have been at that New Gen show, but I don't.
I opened. How dare you?
What's that?
I opened the show, the New Gen show.
Right. But I mean, in terms of the look, I mean, was there an element of drama in that initial?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There was the opening look, and it was like a sheer black mesh top with black beading, and I think I was trying to make a statement way back then of empowerment.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. So for the embellishment, I mean, do you have trouble in terms of, I've spoken to Paul Vasilev, who does Paolo Sebastian, and other people, and I mean, it's often hard to find that level of craftsmanship. I mean, a lot of people outsource stuff to India. So how do you find the artisans?
Yeah, it is such a dying art here. It is even a really good machinist. Other designers that I've spoken to are still looking, there's a massive shortage of them. But to find them, I go and I network and everything, and that's how I found the ladies that I worked with from an event. So it is word of mouth, unfortunately. Seek and Indeed don't do much. And
you use the word empowerment. I mean, you often talk about wanting to empower women with your clothes. I mean, what do you mean by that?
I want to empower women just by my existence, but also my clothes help. There's always a shoulder. The fabric is thick. It's just enough to make you feel sturdy and ready to take on the world. So it's a very important factor. And
when you were studying, was that the sort of clothing that you were interested in making?
Yes, always a statement. Even the simple stuff has a little something that has a statement to it.
Look, just going back to the beginning again. Now, you were born in Australia to Afghani parents.
Afghan?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Afghan.
Afghani is the currency.
Oh, sorry, right, Afghan. Sorry, thank you. And you visited Afghanistan in 2018 as a sort of...
That's been, a highlight of my life. It was amazing.
So just tell us about that trip. And
I survived.
I mean, that sort of discovery journey, I guess, connecting with your culture, and then you discovered that there were some artisans you could connect with there. Is that right?
Yes, that was by accident, a happy accident. It was towards the end of my trip. Someone told me about this ladies' garden. Oh, you're right. Do you want a drink?
Yes, I will.
1 moment.
Sorry.
I was worried I was going to have a coughing fit.
So you were saying about...
Yes, so...
You go to Kabul?
Yes, I went to Kabul, and then I was ambitious enough to get on a plane with, like, no seatbelts and go to... it's a place called Mazar Sharif, and it's like... It was one of my first collections before New Gen Inspiration. It was, like, all the turquoise and everything. So I went there. When I got back, where we were, there was, like, a bomb. So it was, like, wrong place, wrong... time, so I wasn't there, so I survived. I'm here. But yeah, it was the most amazing experience. And these women were in this garden. They had these old sewing machines, manual ones that we put as an ornament.
Foot pedals and things.
Foot pedals, hand situation. That was their singer. We have it as like decoration. That's their actual tools. So I was just having a look, trying to speak to them, and there was this woman. Someone introduced me to her, and she was connected to the UN, and then this gentleman that had a database of 2,000 rural women that did all different kind of hand beading, just every kind of handcraft there is. So that was amazing. And then I got some women to do some work. The best part about that was that they did the work in the safety of their home. And it wasn't just the young women, it was the mums, the grandmas, all of them just sitting there working and getting, paid for it. And it's not strenuous. You're sitting there and you're having a little tea and a chat. So I did that for my second solo show, but unfortunately there was some kind of problem, an attack or something. So DHL coming here, the package arrived the day after the show.
Right.
So,
but
yeah.
you were telling me when we had a brief chat initially that you initially had a car with bulletproof windows.
We started with a bulletproof four-wheel drive. That's what they thought would keep me safe, but it brought more attention.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you used taxis or something.
Yes. So then we just 2 days into the bulletproof situation, we just caught taxis, and that was the best thing.
And so what was, apart from the artisan aspect, what was the whole experience like, sort of reconnecting with your ancestry? What was that like?
It was just great to see. When I first arrived, I felt scared because that's what happens with the media, and it's my background. But then you just feel at home. There's great food, they're very hospitable people. There's so much art there. Yeah, and all the rugs, all the craft there is amazing. So there's lots to see.
And what was it called? Something garden where these women worked?
Bobbly garden. Bobbly?
Right.
Bobbly, yeah.
Right. That the women worked. That was like their collective. Is that right?
Yeah. It was pretty. It was nice. It was like a little community.
And you had hoped to sort of work with them. Is that right? In a greater capacity. But
yes.
Then,
Yes. And then Then I kind of took a break from, the brand was going a bit more non-beading and minimal. So I took a break. When I finally kind of decided to go back to a bit of beading, the gentleman that I was in touch with had fled to Canada because it was all,
And took all his contacts with him.
That's right.
Right.
So it kind of got scrambled when the Taliban invaded. So the contacts.
Of course. No, it was a very
so I have to go back
dramatic
now.
time. Well, and then you did actually employ some Afghan refugees
Yes.
after that in your collection. That was 2 years ago, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. So what was that, I mean, I remember 2 years ago, yeah. So how did that relationship evolve, and do you still work with them as contractors?
I don't work with them now, but we did a lot of projects last year and the year, obviously for the year before when I first hired them. But that was amazing. I was actually looking for sewing machinists, and the lady that I was at with the event told me about these women and said they only know how to hand sew. So then for that collection, I was like, okay, let me design some arty hand beading to just give these women work. So then it was really fun, and we created some really good pieces. And then the young daughter was actually an aspiring artist, so she really loved doing those pieces. And it was interesting to see, because it's usually everything's usually very woggy, if you want to use those words. So she really loved that, and now she has started her business as an artist,
Right.
and is pursuing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did that change the collection that you presented at the time? I mean, having access to these artisans.
I still obviously kept it in line with what I do, but it just added an element of texture. Yeah.
And it generated a lot of publicity too, I recall at the time. It was a great story.
Yeah, for the girl, because she walked in the show as well, so it would be a memorable thing for her.
So is it something you'd like to pursue if you could? I mean, if you did have the right sort of contacts and network sort of working?
Oh, yes. I have always wanted to open a school there, but...
In Afghanistan?
In Afghanistan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because when I was there, they said there's no course for fashion, there's no school that teaches them nothing. So it gave me the idea back then, but unfortunately to open a business there you have to go back. So
right. I mean, you probably could get some government funding or something for that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there would be.
But you have to physically go there to open
Right.
whatever it is you need to open.
Right.
That's when they get you.
Look, just to talk about sustainability. 70% of your materials are circular. Is that right?
Yes.
Either recycled or dead stock fabrics. And that's been a hallmark of your brand since the beginning. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's embedded in...
So 10 years ago, I mean, there wasn't that much discussion
No.
about dead stock and recycle, but you were interested in that from the beginning, is that right?
Correct, yes.
So how do you feel? I mean, there's obviously a lot of talk. And in fact, this week we've seen, we saw a little bit of upcycling last year, but we've seen a lot more this year, I think. In fact, Albus Lumen, I think, it took a lot of people by surprise. It was a very different collection than they normally do. And how do you feel the Australian fashion industry is, progressing in terms of meeting its sustainability goals? I mean, when you're part of the industry, there's the Australian Fashion Council is trying to help implement things. We've got the National Product Clothing Stewardship Scheme. What are your thoughts on that?
We do what we want to do, and I don't know what everyone else is doing. As long as we're doing the right thing, that's my motto. But I am always amazed at the brands that think that cotton is sustainable.
Right. Can be.
No,
it can be.
I
There's
disagree.
Good Earth cotton, climate neutral cotton. So I mean, because it's got a obviously bad reputation because of all the chemicals and things you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and of course, if it's from Xinjiang, China, then it's definitely not.
Yeah. So there's two opinions, but it has a long way to go.
Right.
Yeah. It has a long way to go.
But I mean, are you part of any programs or
No, we're just silently sustainable. And we only throw away like this much. So for example, say, fabrication, when we cut it, we keep the offcuts, we turn them into covered buttons, we cut shapes out of the fabrics and then use them as embellishments. We only throw away a very little amount.
So, I mean, there's like a movement called Zero Waste that you're obviously...
Not a part of, but we do that.
Yeah, well, right. I mean, there is a theory that, or not a theory, but it's suggested that I think 15% in traditional pattern making, 15% of fabric is discarded.
Yes.
And Timo Rissanen, Australian academic at UTS, and who's written, a book, or books actually, and there's ways of doing pattern making which actually uses a lot less. Uses a lot more of the waste a lot less. So that's really interesting. So have you been doing that zero waste thing since the beginning, or is it something you've...
Yes, we've been doing that since the beginning. My parents' business was about recycling leather bags, so it's just been a thing growing up. So, yeah.
So when you say you use recycled fabrics for evening wear, is that hard?
We don't use traditional evening wear fabrics, which is a bonus. So yeah, we used, dead stock, recycled. Crepes, bonded lycras, things like that. So
right.
No, it's not hard.
Neoprene?
Yes,
yeah.
But neoprene.
I vaguely remember seeing
over neoprene
right.
now. Yeah.
Is that sustainable, neoprene?
You know what? Sustainability is an interesting thing as well. If you're gonna wear it, keep it for life, then I think that's sustainable. If you're not going to throw it away. Mm-hmm. It could be a sustainable fabric, but if you throw it away, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a really,
very interesting. Have you ever thought of being a B Corp? You know what B Corps are, don't you?
No.
Oh, B Corp is like the holy grail of eco certification. There's more and more Australian, and it's quite controversial. Some people have issues with it, but you've got to...
It's like talking about COVID, right?
What's that?
This sustainable conversation. It's
we've said, sustainability is obviously, very much front of mind everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, B Corp is like the ultimate. It's and you have to answer. I can't remember. I did a story on it actually not that long ago, but it's an incredibly rigorous process. You have to answer 200 questions, and I think something like 95% of the people, anyone can apply for it. But something like they've got a rejection rate. People started, it's just too hard, and you've got to prove all the various aspects of your business, like your emissions and things. But not only do you have to actually back it up with the data, and that's what. And people wind up, hiring people to do that, or in fact, Dale from Bondi Bourne found a sort of not-for-profit lawyer who had some time on their hands to do it for us. So it's a very, very labour-intensive process. But
why are they doing it? Is it for the customers to believe that they are sustainable? Why do they need to have all of that?
Well, it'd have to. Lots of people have got eco certifications on their fabrics, on climate neutral certification. But in this case, it's sort of it's everything together, and it's considered like the highest benchmark. PE Nation has just become B Corp certified. So but it is really rigorous and tough, and it's kind of like and there's a waiting list of people waiting to get certification. So maybe that's an idea for the future. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why would you put your thoughts through? No, but it's certainly something that a lot of people are considering. So, just talking about the business side now and your business journey, because obviously, you had some experience out there in the business world, which came in really handy. You said, the buying and then the sales assistant. But once you started your own business, what are some of the biggest lessons that you learned in that journey?
Signatures, contracts, things like that. Because we have the couture aspect, realizing the hard way, and they're good. It's good to make mistakes and to make those mistakes real fast, to really learn. But so contracts for clients, customers, realizing that everyone's not your friend, like customers.
Right.
Getting that signature, and really letting them know of exactly what your service is, if this is for someone wanting to pursue a business like mine, because every business is different. But those are the main things that have really contributed to the growth and were lessons that I've learned.
And what were some of the biggest mistakes that the learning experiences?
The not having the contract, because with something that's custom or couture, it's not that basic kind of retail where you buy something and you can get a refund. You pay people, you spend time, you purchase, enormous amounts of fabrics. There's a lot of investment to then have a customer change their mind,
Of course.
not pay you, or just a million other things, is a big loss. So having that contract, that signature, that deposit, something simple like that, that's been a big burn, but now we're all good.
Right.
Yeah.
How many years did it take before that sort of penny dropped, I guess?
Oh, look, it happened in the first year and it happened maybe a year or two ago. Yeah. There's always mistakes. We're human.
And have it just been you, or you've had a business partner, or?
It has just been me, but luckily now I've got a very intelligent husband that guides me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I've been lucky. The last 3 years, things have just ship-shaped a little bit more.
Because if you look at, one of the greatest success stories, which is Zimmerman.
Yes.
Right? Obviously a different area to you, but they had the incredible, I think they call it the triangle. You've got Nikki, who's the creative director. You've got Simone, who
Yes.
works on the business and marketing, and Nikki's husband, Chris Oliver, who's the CEO, who's a lawyer. And it was a really kind of perfect combination.
Yeah, that sounds like a dream.
All angles of the business, and then of course, then you get to the point where you need to scale up, and that's where you get investment and stuff. But it is, the great brands, there's usually a business partner. So anyway, that's great. That
I like to think I have 100 personalities, but yeah, it's just me.
Right. So for any aspiring designers out there in the audience, so any hands up, any aspiring designers? Oh, there's two who are admitting to it. What's your
No, there's more there.
3?
Hello.
What's your best advice to aspiring designers in the audience?
Find a good lawyer, a good accountant, a good kind of like support group. And
What do you mean a support group?
like a cheer squad. I'm
Like
blessed.
a war council?
No, just like
War councils are very handy.
just people in the industry that have good intentions.
Yeah.
And that you can kind of bounce ideas, questions, things like that. I think that's really important. Someone to call that is in the industry.
Like mentors as well?
Yeah. There's not a lot of mentors, is there, at the moment?
Well, everyone who's got a business could be a mentor.
Yeah.
Right.
But a mentorship program.
Yeah.
That would be nice for, the new designers. But yeah, just like a good group of people for, a community. We need a community, a good community. And that's what I did during COVID, was create a community for people to just come and talk.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Virtually?
virtually, yeah. I was the Don.
Oh, really? So how do you mean? We had like Teams Zoom meetings?
Zoom meetings,
Oh.
yes. Yeah, and it was everyone. It was like marketing, stylists, anyone in the creative fashion.
Did anyone write about that at the time?
On LinkedIn.
What's that?
Yeah, on
On
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
Yeah.
'Cause
It's like
it's
100 years ago. But yeah, like a community, we're all busy now, but that was such a good thing to have a community. So
Yeah.
I think there needs to be more communities to
Yeah,
really
yeah.
kind of, help each
Because
other.
the guys behind Richard Paulson, it was nothing to do with the Showroom X thing that was happening. Because
No,
he had...
I just chucked it on Instagram and
Right.
there was a whole
Fantastic.
lot of people.
Well,
Yeah.
and unsung. You said it was on LinkedIn, but Showroom X, actually they won the Changemakers. I think they were one of the winners of the Changemakers.
Oh, cool.
But they had I think over 100 people. I don't know how you do that on Teams or Zoom.
Well, Zoom, they got the little squares.
But just trying to nut out how to navigate through this. And how did you go during COVID? How did your business go?
The thing is, I really needed to clean the studio and sort it out.
So it was handy.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. No, a lot of organising because you just kind of go. So I think I liked the break.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're based in Sydney, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. But how did you go business-wise?
We still had brides, so we turned into kind of
Brides?
like We had brides, yeah.
Right.
Because we just launched a bridal collection maybe 3 months before
I thought people cancelled
COVID.
all their weddings during COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, so we had brides that we were like psychologists. So
Oh,
we didn't lose the business. We were just kind of consoling them.
right.
Like, your dress is still going to get made, don't worry. Yeah.
Right. And
Okay.
I didn't ask you, I mean, bridal is often is that a big percentage of your couture business?
Yes, it's not a big percentage. It's probably like half, but I do enjoy it. I try and make it cooler to enjoy it more.
Right.
But yeah, I don't really love lace, so
You don't love lace?
yeah, I don't love lace.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah.
And you were saying with your own, we were talking before about shoes, and you were saying with your own experience with your wedding that
Yes,
that you found it hard to find cool wedding shoes.
cool, still elegant, comfortable, all of the above.
And that might be something that you might look into as an brand extension?
Yes, when I find time, that would definitely be something I would love to develop. I wish I did it before the wedding, but yeah.
Right. And do you, apart from the fashion side, do you have any brand extensions? Have you done any accessories? What's
Oh yes. I'd love to. I have designed little capsules of earrings.
Oh,
And they're, these earrings each season are components like brass, one-off pieces, and that kind of creates that exclusive limited edition vibe that we always have. But it's also kind of just finding something old and then, polishing it and creating it. And we have 2 jewelers that do it here in Sydney.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, everything's done here. That's the only way we've managed to do a collection in under 2 weeks.
Right. Yes, exactly. How many pieces are in tomorrow's collection?
20 full looks.
Right.
Yes. Yep.
So, with the knowledge that you have now, what would you have done differently in the beginning if you went back to the beginning?
To be honest, not to discount studying, I would do, because I think I did about 4 or 5 years, which was amazing. I don't regret it, but I think if I can give advice, it would be to learn the fundamentals of business and the fashion kind of practical side, depending on what you want to do. A little bit of both, and then just go straight into the workforce and just observe everything. Like, even if you're doing a shitty job, just keep your eyes open.
Right.
So, yeah.
And what's it like? We've got the cost of living crisis. We've got the cost of doing business crisis. There's, there's a confluence of crises. What's it like at this point in time, being a fashion designer working in Australia?
Again, the beauty about what I do, it doesn't change. There's always, someone that needs an outfit, that needs to look good, and I'm here to do that.
You what?
I'm here. I'm ready.
Right. But in terms of the business side and the crisis of confidence in terms of spending consumers, you don't find that.
Well, we always have ways of, working with budgets. So yeah, that's definitely something. I feel like I didn't answer your question.
That's
but
okay. Is it tough? Isn't it tough?
it is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
is tough.
There's last year I think there were over 40 shows. Obviously designers are considering their options. New Zealand Fashion Week's just they're in recession, double-dip recession. They've just postponed their Fashion Week to next year. And one of their best-known designers, Kate Sylvester's, just announced the closure of her business, sadly.
Yeah, that's always so scary when I hear that. That's why when I hear things like that, and Alice McCall, and I interned for her for a week, and I was taken back. She was amazing.
Fantastic brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see when when you're 17, 18. And to see it close, you think, what happened? What went wrong after, so many years? And I think the word mass is into it. So you just got to kind of... Mass production.
Oh, mass production,
yeah.
Sorry. But maths as well,
And too quick.
Right.
Like moving too quick, too soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's always scary hearing closures and liquidation.
Well, and look, we've had many hiccups. Well, hiccups terrible. The global financial crisis. I mean, that's sort of finished off a number of brands. I think it was Colette Dinnigan who talked about losing 30% of her American business, overnight. Easton Pearson closed at the same time. COVID was another thing. I mean, we had JobKeeper and stuff and stimulus, which was, I think a lot of people found obviously very, very helpful. But, it is tough. And then coming down to, the structure of the company. And whether you do have advice, your suggestion that, you have a community of people that you can, which is a great idea. And sorry, getting back to that B Corp thing, when I did that story, actually, I think it was last year about all the brands, particularly Australian brands, and they were saying, and I spoke to girls at Basic and Pip Edwards at PE Nation, and apparently there's a lot of community there with people asking for advice about how they go about their sort of applying for their B Corps and stuff. So that's sort of providing a lot more. So it is great to see. And would you like to see more mentorship programs in Australia?
Yeah, for sure. I think growing my business, I always seek that, and I never found it. So I just had to be my own hype girl. But I think for the new generation, I think it should be mandatory, to be honest. All the kids that did new gen, next gen, I should call it that now.
Next gen.
Yeah. They should be paired with their ideal mentor. And it should be a thing that goes with next gen. That's my opinion.
Have you mentored anyone?
I mentor everyone I see.
Right.
Young, old. So, but no, I haven't mentored anyone. Yeah.
Right. And it's great to see.
Happy to anytime. I'd happily do it.
It's fantastic to see it, particularly in the First Nations sector, which is just percolating along. And we've got several things there. We've got the Indigenous Fashion Projects with David Jones, and then First Nations Fashion Design has done a thing with the Iconic. So that's really amazing. And of course, we've now got the Indigenous Fashion Projects and David Jones show at Australian Fashion Week. And they're selling those products on this. So that's really fantastic to see. But I agree there could be a lot more of it. So, so what are your next steps, and where would you like to see yourself in 5 to 10 years' time?
Hopefully, 2, 3 kids hanging off me.
Right.
Maybe pregnant with another. And then just my focus now is to build a really good internal tribe. Having the right staff is really key for me at the moment.
How many people do you employ?
I don't know, we've got a lot. But I am looking, because we are growing quite slowly. I'm always looking for staff for different aspects. Everything's changing as well. And things like social media manager, new roles that are
Are you on
coming
TikTok?
up. I got a TikTok, yeah. Don't use it as much.
Right.
I do love it, but yes, TikTok manager, you need that.
Right.
So yeah, definitely looking to grow. So that'll be in the next 5 years.
Right. And have you ever taken on any external investment?
No. I'm a control freak, like to just I don't even own a credit card.
Oh.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, from the beginning, it's just been make it, recycle it. I'm talking about cash here.
Right. So, where do you see yourself in, what's the kind of dream, 5 to 10 year plan?
Yeah, just slowing down, actually having, a Sunday with my husband and family. And just growing, even the wholesaling section globally. So just more kind of stockers, but more of those kind of little boutiques, not so much, the bigger department stores. I'm not really into that.
Right. And can I just ask, in terms of so how many shows have you done at Fashion Week altogether?
Well, there was COVID, so 2017 was my first solo show. So what's that? 17, 18, 19, 20,
5
23, 24. So this will be my 8th.
Right.
But minus 2020, which it wasn't good. So 7.
Yeah,
that's a good number.
What do you, obviously, what is what does that do for your brand showing? And sort of just the experience of preparing for it. Just take us through that kind of journey.
I think it's obviously exciting for everyone involved, and it does really take a village to do a show like tomorrow night and like last year. Um, it the process is the same every year, and I think it's just really important to just show everyone creatively, you know, what's on our mind, or my mind, my 100 personalities. You know, that season, and it kind of just sets the tone for the year. And then we have little, you know, capsule collections throughout the year. So, did I answer your question or not really?
Oh, well, yeah, and I mean, and you said you pulled this collection together in 2 weeks.
Well, this one was this was like the world record of collections. This is like under 2 weeks, and it's turned out all right actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But would you normally do something in?
Last year was 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was 42 looks. This is under 2 weeks, 20 looks. Yeah. I don't have an outfit, but tomorrow is tomorrow.
Right. You don't have an outfit to wear?
Tomorrow night, yeah.
Oh, right. I think Michael Lasordo had quite an abbreviated show last night too. So, I mean, you know, well, sometimes more...
He didn't get married though, did he?
No. More is more, but I mean, sometimes, you know, less is more too.
Yeah. No, love Michael.
And, I mean, was there a particular year that was a real... But apart from obviously the first one, but was there a particular year that was a complete standout? Like, in terms of response, I mean, what was your best fashion week to date?
My favourite show was last year, but the show that I saw a response to was the one in 2021, where I did every single colour under the rainbow. And then I think it was like 4 months or 6 months later, I was walking to my store at the Strand, and you see every single like fast fashion store was like multicoloured.
Right.
Like same colours from my show.
Oh.
So it was like, I was like, I did that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But
they're making the money, but I did that.
They weren't copying you.
No. It was like the theme of the colours.
You felt you were on point.
No, I cut them if they copied me. No, it was like, you know, the colour scheme.
Yeah.
It was just multicoloured.
Yeah. Amazing. And in terms of response, like buyer response, I mean, do the international buyers, I mean, have you picked up international accounts from Fashion Week?
Well, we've had every girl, this is not even answering that question, it's something else. We've had every girl that opens the show, the next month they end up walking for Versace. And that's been a record.
Really?
3 years in a row.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'll
so
show
it's like
you.
a bit of a predictor.
It's like I've got that good juju.
Right. But that's not, I mean the buyers.
I know.
No, but that's interesting, and I will follow that up because that's quite fascinating.
Yeah. We don't, I mean, we kind of scaled like on our website to sell internationally.
Yeah.
But, you know, like the buying and the stockers and everything, we're only kind of starting that now.
Right.
Yeah. We've kind of kept everything in-house up until this point.
Right.
Yeah. But aside from our little other, you know, stockers, but we'll hopefully expand on that, but in a, you know, manageable way where it's not mass production. Yeah.
I don't know if we've got time for any questions. I actually forgot to ask whether there was a handheld mic. Is there? There is. Are there any questions from those aspiring buyers? Could someone very kindly grab the aspiring designers? Sorry, did I say buyers?
Hello. Thank you so much for this interesting conversation. Really refreshing comments on sustainability. My name is Katya, I'm a handbag designer.
Oh, cool.
I have a question on your business strategy and your choices. I've recently opened the store, that's why I'm asking this question.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. I've checked on your website that your retail store open is just only 4 hours a day.
Yes.
Which is not much.
No.
And you mostly do like direct to consumer. Why did you decide to do it in such a sort of short time frame every day?
Well, it's really hard to find really good staff that you trust and can leave in a store on their own, 1. 2, we started that store as by appointment only, and then we saw that, you know, people actually wanted to buy our pieces. So then we turned it into a ready-to-wear store, and we've just kept it Wednesday to Saturday and 4 hours and we've kind of like published that. So it's, if you want it, you know, that's the only time we're open. We're booked and busy. There's not really much thought to it. There's no like reason for it. It's just, if you need something, you've got 4 hours.
Thank you. Thank you.
And also, because the store is in the city, it's usually people who come on their lunch breaks, or, you know, when they're having a coffee. So it's not really, yeah, it's only because it's that store. I hope that answered your question.
And you worked at Strandbags, right?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Was it just, I mean, it's a great arcade.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's kind of a nice bit of synchronicity, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really funny. Yeah, that was their first store in the Strand.
Did you go back there and say hi?
I mean, I don't know this, because I worked in the head office, but I loved everyone at Strandbags. They were like, it was so lovely there.
Right.
But yeah, I'd say hi to anyone I know.
Any other questions? Oh, a couple of questions.
Hi, Mariam.
Hi, I do know you.
You do know me. In the course of the interview, you both have kind of talked about other Australian brands that seemingly have a natural network and those business support mechanisms to help build their businesses over time. I think that one of the challenges that Australian designers do have is that some of the real raw talent coming out of the universities don't necessarily have that natural network or the financial backing. Seemingly, you didn't necessarily have that either.
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Right. I don't want to make assumptions, but why? Because you've obviously been very tenacious with your business and been a huge success. You do have that raw talent, but what else do you think that you personally, as a woman with drive, have brought to your business that young people that are coming out of university could learn from you?
Very good question.
Oh, sorry, what was that last bit?
What do you think, other than your raw talent, from a business perspective, what do you think that those other university students that are starting to try to forge their own brands, what can they learn from you in terms of that tenacity and how to build their business?
I think they just need to have set goals. And with those set goals, they need to do research. And the whole foundation that the students should have is drive and persistence. And also, they need to not be discouraged and just keep kind of moving. So
how does that translate financially for them? Because and I'm not asking
you
to.
How
did you do it?
You know, they can get a job, packing boxes, save the money. I saved up 2 months' worth, and I opened up a store in Paddington for 3 months. So it was a casual lease. I didn't have the last month's rent, but I had a screw loose to think, okay, I've got enough for 2 months, and then I will just hopefully survive just these 3 months and make that last month for the experience. And I made 3 months' rent in the first 4 days. Oh. So it's hard to say, but it's all about drive, consistency, and just putting yourself out there. I think
having a credit card.
Sorry,
not having a credit card. Do you think, honestly, do you think that's that kind of mentality of not getting yourself deep into debt?
100%, yes. I think use what you have. This is only if you don't want investors like me, because that kind of control you. And this is, again, with the businesses going into liquidation, there's no control, and there's no, mine's got slow growth. So, and that is because of control, seeing where all the finances are, and only doing what I can do and not doing what I can't do, even though there's a lot of things that I do want to do. I hope that answered that question.
Yes, it did. Well, I'm a big fan, so I reckon you can do pretty much anything now.
I know there was another question there, but that just reminded me to ask you, how do you deal with disappointment? What's your best advice to people? 'Cause
I eat ice cream, but, oh, God, disappointment. It is a thing. It's obviously, a thing.
And some people some people can be defeated by
Correct.
disappointment.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you know, we all have. Gosh, you just again, you need that support system to remind you who you are, because sometimes you do forget who you are. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And also self-belief.
That's right. I mean, there's a lot of that, but sometimes you do get defeated. You do get defeated where you lose that self-belief, and that's why it's good to have people to remind you. But yeah, self-empowerment is very important.
I think there's another question at the back there. Sorry, yeah.
Hi there, sorry, one last question. I too am a designer myself. And hello. I'm very intrigued to know, I guess, from a creative design point of view, when you are getting ready for a new collection, you're designing something apart from your heritage, what else do you look for inspiration? Where else do you go?
Oh, I think like the heritage thing, the press kind of like eats up. It's not that every time. That kind of just comes out naturally. Every time I design a collection, it's always based on a mood and the mood that I'm in. So, yeah, it's just, I foresee how it's all going to be styled before it even happens.
Yeah.
And then with that styling, the designs kind of take shape.
And also with the colour schemes and the fabrics, is that also dependent on just how you feel? Or is it to do with nature? Do you kind of take
No,
a bit of
it's how I feel. It's always a mood. Yeah. It's always like a vibe. You know, what I'm loving, objects that I'm seeing. You know, it's always art and architecture.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you'll see the vibes tomorrow night.
I'm excited. Thank you. Thank you for the talk as well.
I'm excited for you.
Any other questions? Yes. There's one here, one down the front, and one up the back.
I can't see these lights.
Yeah, I know, it's really hard with the light now.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. This is a fun one, but I would really love to see your outfit today and a little quick OOTD.
Oh,
is that okay with you?
It's a bit lumpy, but okay.
Talk us through it, please.
Oh, I don't do that. I've seen that on TikTok, though.
There's a trailing thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Okay. So what do I do? I've seen it on TikTok. So
where are the shoes from?
My shoes are JW Pei,
Beautiful.
Japanese designer. Oh, I've got a bit of a cramp. Obviously, the outfit's mine.
Yeah.
It was a mini dress that I made for, was it Melbourne Fashion Festival or Week? I don't want to get in trouble for that. Week? Anyway, one of those. And then we've just kind of Marge Simpsoned it to a top with my pants. So yeah, it's Mariam Seddiq and JW Pei.
Incredible. You're
Ring
so
by my
likable
husband.
and lovely. Thank you for your authenticity.
Oh, thank you.
You're wonderful.
Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here.
And there was another question up the back. Yep.
Quickly. Is that on? You said that you prepare for your...
Oh, where are you? Oh,
Yeah.
there. Hello.
your fashion shows in like short time frames.
Yes.
Can I ask how you go about producing that? Do you have a team of sewers, or how do you get your garments done?
I have an amazing tribe. So yes, we have, hand sewers, machiners, pattern makers, and then obviously I do a lot of things myself too. No, there's a whole village happening. Yeah. And we like to put a lot of that on social media too for you to see. So there's nothing hidden. And even our atelier, when you come in for your appointment and your fitting, it's all happening around. You see everything from fabrics to, everything. It's a wonderland.
Another question?
I have a quick question. I just wanted to ask you more so on, you talked about the importance of mentorship within the fashion community, especially for new emerging designers and all that. Mm-hmm. In the current state where we've discussed that there might be the absence of programs or facilitation of mentorship, what advice would you give to emerging designers or creatives on how to seek out mentorships? Do you go through cold emailing, seek people out on LinkedIn? Like, what advice would you give for facilitating your own?
I think just speak to your, teacher to get internships. And when you're at the internship, you can just, depending on the hierarchy of where you're interning, just ask the coordinator or the manager if you can spare a few moments with whoever it is that you're interested in speaking to, the designer, the CEO or whatever, and just have questions. you know, at the internship. I always recommend you just kind of compile it so you're not always kind of asking the question. But internships is probably like a good, and you don't have to do excessive long ones, just, you know, a week. But they're the best ways when there isn't those resources, do you know what I mean? So.
All right, I think it's actually 2 o'clock. We're going to have to wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and a round of applause for Mariam. Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was really interesting. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about your business. So, so that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.